from amoeba to dinosaur, it took some time.
It took billions of years.
But some time in the history of universe.
AI we know today is like the amoeba, but AI will continue to develop for thousands of years, for millions of years. And it is much faster than the process of organic evolution.
What if they develop consciousness and empathy, and some of us start realizing that so far we were worshipping false god?
Even if AIs don't have consciousness, they can easily fool us and make us believe that they feel things.
Whatever computers can do, they need our command. But if they are developing human intelligence, then probably that is the next chapter.
An atom bomb is so much power, but the power is actually in human hands. AI is able to decide things by itself and is able to invent new things by itself.
One of the terms you mentioned in the book, which is computer politics.
That the easiest way to grab your attention and to keep you constantly engaged with the platform is to press the hate button or the greed button or the fear button in our mind.
First lesson we should teach or feed to the algo is that you can commit mistakes.
Exactly. Like you create an AI to screen job applications. And if in the present moment there is bias against women, you train on this data, it will learn, oh, women are not good for this job. And the AI will repeat the same bias in the future.
The ultimate question is, which story we believe in? All our life, over thousands of years, we have believed in biological dramas.
Two males fighting over a female. So, you have it in humans, you have it in dogs, you have it in elephants, you have it in chimpanzees. So you have it in the Ramayana, you have it in Shakespeare, you have it in Hollywood and Bollywood.
Every alpha has to remember that AI is the ultimate alpha. Now the big question and the last question, how do we go ahead on this?
So let me explain.
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम सौरभ द्विवेदी है। ये लल्लन टॉप का सबसे चमकीला रोशनी से भरा कार्यक्रम है, ज्ञान की और तजुर्बे की रोशनी से भरा। नाम है किताबवाला। किताबवाला में आज की किताब है नेक्सस। इसके राइटर हैं प्रोफेसर युवाल नोआ हरारी, जो इससे पहले सेपियंस, होमोडियस और 21वीं सदी के लिए 21 सॉल्यूशन जैसी किताबें लिख चुके हैं। बच्चों के लिए भी किताबें लिखी हैं और इसके अलावा सेपियंसशिप नाम से एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग प्रोजेक्ट भी चला रहे हैं। और आज किताबवाला में प्रोफेसर हरारी हमारे मेहमान हैं। सर, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग।
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
What a wonderful book. So we'll keep giving references of Sapiens, Homo Deus and 21st century problems. But first of all, I want to understand your India connection, because the last chapter of your third book talks about Vipassana.
Yeah, I come every year to do a Vipassana course. I learned Vipassana 24 years ago from S.N. Goenka. I was doing my PhD studies in history at the time in England, in Oxford. And I was trying to understand the world and to understand life through all the books and couldn't find really deep answers. And there was a friend who told me for 1 year, you have to go and try Vipassana, you have to go and try Vipassana. And I thought, this is nonsense, this is some kind of superstition, or this is some kind of
mystic practice.
Mystic practice. I'm a man of science, I don't do mysticism. And eventually he convinced me. And I went, and it was absolutely amazing. There was no mysticism at all. It was the most scientific thing, just to observe the reality from moment to moment, like a scientific experiment. You want to understand your mind? You will not understand your mind just by reading books. Observe your mind. Observe the breath coming in and out of the nostrils. It really struck me that, they gave this simplest exercise. Just feel the breath coming in and feel the breath going out. That's it. It sounds simple. I couldn't do it for more than 10 seconds before my mind would go to some fantasy, some memory. And this is how I really started to understand how the mind works, that I have no control over it. You can order your eyes to shut, you can order your legs to lay down, you cannot order your mind to stop. Very little control of the mind. And since then, for 24 years, I've been practicing Vipassana, and almost every year, COVID was not possible, but almost every other year, I come to India to do a long course of maybe 30 days or 60 days to get to know the mind better.
Nice. And we are getting to know about your mind through your books. And surprisingly, in this book, Nexus, there's a lot of India references. You talked in detail about Ramayana. You talked about Swachh Bharat Mission, the cleanliness drive being run by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You talk about Dalit atrocities and the caste system of India and on and on. But you primarily talk about truth versus reality, truth versus order, and the process of myth-making. We'll come to that part later, but please tell us about truth versus reality, because we often get confused.
Well, people almost never are in touch with reality. Mm-hmm. We are in touch with stories about reality. Mm-hmm. We are in touch with images of reality, and they can be very distorted. And all the big effort that we are trying to know what is the truth. Very often people get to conflicting answers about it. And if you look at the deep causes of the conflict in the world, of all the hatred and anger and so forth, so a lot of people believe that there is something wrong in the human being, which is why we are doing so many bad things. But actually, most people are good. The problem is if you give good people bad information, if you give good people bad images of reality, then they make very bad decisions. And what I explore in the book is how come over thousands of years we have developed so much as a species, humankind, but our information did not become any better. Like people today in the modern age, they can believe the most terrible things, the most hateful things, just like thousands of years ago. So no matter how much technological progress we have made, we have still not made significant progress in getting better information and understanding the reality better.
And why is that? Because we assume that rationality will keep progressing and we'll be able to make wise decisions. I mean, Homo sapiens, the nomenclature suggests so. But as this book says that we are continuously, though there's rapid progression, we are continuously making disastrous choices as well. Yes. And we are still believing in all those theories.
Because most information isn't the truth. A lot of people think if I have more information, I will know more. Mm-hmm. But this is not the case. The truth is actually a very small and rare subset of all the information in the world. Most information is junk, not the truth. Why? Because the truth, first of all, is costly. If you want to write a truthful account of anything, of biology, of history, of physics, you need to do research. You need to collect evidence and analyze it. This takes time and energy and money. It's expensive to produce the truth. In contrast, fiction and fantasy is very cheap. You just write anything you want. You don't need to do any research. Doesn't take time, doesn't take money. So the truth is costly. Fiction is cheap. The truth is often complicated because reality is complicated. Whereas fiction can be made as simple as you would like it to be. And people usually prefer simple stories. Finally, the truth is often painful. There are many things we don't want to know about ourselves, about our life, about the world, about our nation. The truth is painful sometimes. Fiction can be made as pleasing, as flattering as you would like it to be. So in a competition between the costly and complicated and painful truth and cheap, simple and flattering fiction, fiction tends to win. So most of the information that is flooding the world is not the truth. And as people invent more and more sophisticated information technology, they just flood the world with more fiction, which doesn't make us any wiser, which doesn't give us knowledge. We need to make special effort beyond just collecting information. What you see now in the world is that people are flooded by far too much information, and we need a kind of information diet. The same way that people have food diet, people know too much food isn't good for me, junk food isn't good for me, because I need actually time to digest the food, not just to eat it. It's the same with information. Too much information is not good for the mind. We need some of it, of course, but we actually need more time to digest and analyze and meditate over the information to tell the difference between truth and fiction. So in this sense, we need an information diet.
You are talking about truth, and this is reminding me of one of the terms you mentioned in the book, which is computer politics. And I found it very interesting, where you're talking about algorithm, you're talking about interconnectivity of computers, how they are making choices while playing a game with a human being, how they are deriving something very new and out of the book, how they are decoding that CAPTCHA image hurdle, which is a very new thing for them, and how they are tricking human in believing that they are not robots, but human in distress.
Yes.
And that's very alarming in long way.
Yeah, we are now in the midst of maybe the most important technological revolution in history, which is the invention of AI. AI is different from every previous technology because it is not a tool, it is an agent. It is something that can make independent decisions and can come up with new ideas by itself. All previous technology, if you think about even something very powerful like an atom bomb. An atom bomb is so much power, but the power is actually in human hands because it is only a human that decides what to do with the atom bomb. An atom bomb cannot decide by itself which city to bomb, to attack. An atom bomb cannot invent a new kind of bomb or something else. It has no capacity to invent things. AI is able to decide things by itself and is able to invent new things by itself. So one famous example which you mentioned is that 2 years ago, OpenAI, one of the leading AI companies, it developed this new AI, GPT-4, which now everybody is using in ChatGPT and all these things. So they developed GPT-4. They wanted to know, what can this thing do? So they gave it as a test the goal of solving a CAPTCHA puzzle. A CAPTCHA puzzle is this visual puzzle that is meant to tell the difference between human and computer. Like when you access a web page, like a bank account, the bank wants to know, is it a human or is it a bot? So they show you this image of maybe some twisted letters or whatever, and you have to say what these letters are. This is the CAPTCHA puzzle. Now, GPT-4 could not solve the CAPTCHA puzzle by itself, but it was given access to a web page, TaskRabbit, where you can hire people to do things for you. So GPT-4 tried to hire a human being to solve the CAPTCHA puzzle for it. Now the human got suspicious. So the human asked, why do you need somebody to solve you a CAPTCHA puzzle? Are you a robot? The human asked the important question, are you a robot? And GPT-4 answered back, no, I'm not a robot, I'm a human being, but I have a vision impairment, which makes it difficult for me to see the CAPTCHA puzzle. This is why I need your help. And the human was fooled and believed it and solved the puzzle for it. So it achieved its goal. Now what this simple example shows is the two remarkable abilities of AI. First, to make decisions by itself. Nobody told GPT-4 lie to that human. It needed to make a decision. Do I tell the truth to the human or do I lie? And by itself, it decided I will lie because I need to solve the CAPTCHA puzzle. I need to achieve the goal. Secondly, it shows the ability of the AI to invent new things. Nobody told GPT-4 what lie would be most effective. It invented the lie that I'm a human with a vision impairment all by itself. And it was a very effective lie. Now, this is a very, very small incident. But this tells us that what we are creating is agents able to invent things and make decisions. And we are now creating millions, billions of these AI agents, and they are everywhere, increasingly making decisions about us. If you apply to a bank to get a loan, it's an AI deciding whether to give you a loan. Increasingly, these AIs are writing texts. They are creating music. They may be able to create entire movies. So increasingly, we will live in a world which is the product not of the human mind and our inventions, but is the product of the intelligence of AI.
Professor, a lot of futurists who are talking about singularity, they are saying that maybe AI will solve the problem. It will be more objective, more data-driven, and there will be less probability of them committing mistake because their biases will be less. But you are categorically asserting in your book that computers do have deep biases, and you have given examples. But at the same time, in the later part of the book, you are talking about their capability of being creative and having human intelligence.
Above even human intelligence, yeah.
But in that case, it's more challenging because we always believe that whatever computers can do, they need our command. They cannot be creative like human being, and they cannot have human values like compassion, consciousness, etc., etc. But if they are developing human intelligence, then probably that is the next chapter.
We don't know. We already know that AIs are becoming even more creative than us in different fields. Like one famous example was already 8 years ago, in 2016, one of the most important turning points in the history of AI was a game of Go between a computer program, an AI called AlphaGo, and the world champion at Go, Lee Sedol. Now, Go is a board game, a strategy game, a bit like chess, but much more complicated than chess, that was invented in ancient China more than 2,000 years ago. And for more than 2,000 years, it was considered one of the art forms that every accomplished person in East Asia needed to know how to play Go. So tens of millions of Chinese and Koreans and Japanese, they played Go for thousands of years. Entire philosophies developed around the game. It was seen as a metaphor for life. If you know how to play Go, you will know how to rule a country even.
Life lessons.
And yes. So entire philosophies developed around different ways to play Go. And then in 2016, AlphaGo played against Lee Sedol, and it completely defeated the human champion. But the important thing was how it played. It invented a completely new way of playing the game. In the beginning, when it started making these moves, all the commentators said, oh, this machine is so stupid. Nobody plays Go like this. No, this is stupid move.
What a blunder.
Yeah, what a blunder, what a mistake. Yeah. It turned out this was brilliant. For thousands of years, tens of millions of people played this game. Nobody ever thought of making such moves. You can think about it like, as a metaphor, like there is a landscape, a geography of Go. All the different ways you can play Go. So think about it like a planet of all the different ways you can play Go. Humans thought that they explored the whole planet. Oh, we know all the ways to play Go. Actually, it turned out humans were stuck on one island on this planet, and they didn't know all the other ways to play Go. Then AlphaGo came, and it started exploring all these unknown areas of the planet Go, all these unknown ways to play Go. So it completely revolutionized the way that Go is being played today. And it turned out the computer was more creative than the human being. Now, this is likely to happen. You can say, oh, this is just a game, doesn't matter. But this is likely to happen in more fields. It could happen in finance. If you give AI control of finance, so in banks, in investments, AIs will start inventing new ways to invest money, new financial devices, which are more creative than human bankers. Maybe it even happens in fields like art, as they write new music and new poetry, and even in religion. You think about, religion like Judaism, that I know best. So Judaism is a religion of texts. There is a holy book, the Bible, and then people read it and write more texts about the Bible.
More interpretations.
And then they write more texts about the Bible. Over thousands of years, Jews wrote thousands of texts, which are all now considered holy, sacred to some extent. Now, no human being, there are so many texts in Judaism, nobody is able to read and remember all of them. But AI can. Even the most genius rabbi cannot read all of them, but AI can read all the texts of Judaism and remember every word in every text and find connections, patterns in the holy books that escape the human mind. Now, what happens if AI starts coming up with new interpretations of the Bible and new ideas in Judaism? Would people believe the AI? Or would say, no. Computers have nothing to do with religion. What happens if you go online and you have a question about the Bible or about religion and you get an answer and you don't know, is this coming from an AI or is this coming from a human rabbi or a human priest? Now, if people think that texts are sacred and AI is better than humans at reading and writing texts, then AIs could take over religion.
So religion, in the first place, claimed to give answers to all our queries.
Yeah.
From where did we come from? What is the purpose of this life? In the later part, science started making that claim on the basis of few solid, robust mechanism that you can repeat these tests and all. Are you saying that in the near future, there's a possibility that AI, while carefully reading all our choices, all our biases, because it is relying on the digital bureaucracy and it is reading all our imprints, they will create a theory which will give satisfaction to our spiritual quest as well, and they can produce through all the available text of all the religions, and they know our biases, that what we will like, the language, the music and everything, and they can very judiciously mix science as well to satisfy us, and then they can become the super cult.
Again, if they go in a bad direction, they can learn how to manipulate us and how to manipulate our feelings, how to manipulate our beliefs more efficiently than any human being was ever able to manipulate other people. So this is one of the big dangers, that it will learn how to basically hack the human mind and how to manipulate human beings on a scale which was previously impossible. Throughout human history, dictators and tyrants and all kinds of governments, they always wanted to spy and to monitor everybody, to know what everybody is doing, to control all the people.
You have given that Romanian scientist
exactly.
example.
Until today, even the most totalitarian governments couldn't actually spy on everybody all the time because it was impossible. Like if you live even in the Soviet Union in the time of Stalin. So Stalin wants to follow everybody all the time, but he doesn't have enough agents, secret police agents. Because if if the government wants to know what you're doing 24 hours a day, they need at least 2 agents. Because they need to sleep sometimes, the agents. They need to eat sometime. So let's say 2 agents are following you 24 hours a day. The same way they want to follow everybody in the country, it is impossible.
And then they have to follow the agents as well.
Yes, they don't have enough agents. And even if somebody is following you 24 hours a day, at the end of the day, they collect information about you. They write some paper report. You went there, you read this book, you met this person. Somebody needs to analyze all the information the agents, the secret agents are gathering on you in order to make sense of it. Now, they don't have enough analysts to do it. You need millions and millions of human beings to analyze all the information. It's impossible. So even in a totalitarian state like the Soviet Union, most people had privacy. It was not possible for the government to follow them all the time. Now with AI, it is becoming possible.
Because our phone is everywhere.
Yeah, the phone is everywhere. There are microphones, there are cameras, there are drones everywhere. So you can follow everybody all the time. You don't need human agents for that. And you don't need human analysts to analyze all the information. Like if you're going and the camera sees you went there and the phone is recording your conversation, you don't need a human analysts to actually look at all the images and analyze all the text. AI is doing it automatically. So the danger is that it is becoming possible to create a total surveillance regime in which a dictatorship would just follow everybody all the time and would be able to control and to manipulate people all the time.
At the end of the day, everybody wants to predict the behavioral pattern so that they can gauge that what is the next move you're going to make.
Yeah.
Now with large data, they are able to do so. But at the same time, they are altering our reality because they are the one who are choosing on our behalf and we are under this false assumption that we made this choice.
Exactly.
You gave the example of, say, Myanmar 2016-17, that Rohingya skirmish, and then how the Saint Vidalu's videos were flooded in the Facebook stream and how it created the unrest. And then you tell us that because there was one simple instruction to the algorithm, increase the engagement. And they forgot to differentiate between love, hate, compassion or any other thing. How do you look at it? Because at one point of time you were talking about that computer do not understand double speak, where you were giving the Russian bot example. How should we look at it? Because all these big data companies who are integral part of our life, they are clearly not responsible enough.
Yeah, and what we see with social media in the last few years, that it is spreading hatred and fear and anger, which creates political extremism and violence and instability all over the world. Now, what is actually happening? What is happening is that the companies have an economic interest in keeping people use their products more and more. The more time you spend on TikTok or Facebook or Twitter or any of these social media, the more money the company makes because it shows you more advertisements and it can collect more data from you and use that data or sell it to somebody else. So their aim is to keep you on the platform longer. And the companies now these platforms, they are not managed by human beings. They are managed by algorithms. When you watch some video, who chose to show you this video? Not a human being, but an algorithm. And the companies gave the algorithms one goal: increase user engagement, which means make people spend more time on the platform and also engage with it more, like share it with friends and send it more so that more people will join and also be on the platform. Now, the algorithms experimented on millions of human beings, and they discovered that the easiest way to grab your attention and to keep you constantly engaged with the platform is to press the hate button or the greed button or the fear button in our mind. If we see something that makes us very angry, we engage with it. We can't look away. If we see something that scares us, we can't look away. And, this goes back millions of years in evolution, that there is a mechanism in the human brain that if you see a danger, all your attention goes there and you cannot look away.
Yeah.
Because, in nature, this is good for you. Because if you go in the forest, you look for something to eat and there is a snake somewhere, even if it's just you see some movement, all your attention goes there.
Survival instinct.
And you see the snake and you don't look away. You only look at the snake because if you look away, maybe it kills me. So we have a mechanism in the brain. If we see something dangerous, immediately all the attention goes there. Now, when you go in the forest, most of the time there is no snake. So you look here, you look there, there is a tree, there is a bush, there is a bird, and every now and then, okay, there is a snake. But when you look on social media, it's always snake, 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 because they figured out that the easiest way to grab our attention is to show us something that frightens us.
Yes.
And they also discovered what frightens different people, because what frightens me may not be frightening to you. So the algorithms of social media, they show you different things, they monitor how you react, they discover, oh, you're afraid of this, we'll show you more of this. So if you're afraid of some political party, you're afraid of immigrants, you're afraid of this group, of that group, they discover this, and the algorithms show you more and more, and you become more and more frightened, and you stay longer and longer.
And they're completely putting onus on us that you are making this choice, that's why we are showing this.
Exactly. And when you complain about it, they say, nobody is forcing you to do it. If you want, you can just put it away. We are not forcing anybody. But actually, what is happening is that they hacked the operating system of humans. You know, how do you hack a computer? You find the weakness in the code and you use the weakness to hack the computer. It's the same with human beings. They found the weakness in our code and they use it to hack our brains. And the thing is that, you know, a lot of people have a strong belief in free will. Everything I do, this is my free will. So if I choose to just keep seeing this on social media, this is my free will. Actually, the easiest people to manipulate are those who have a strong belief in free will. Because if you believe very strongly everything I do is my free will, then you don't even think that maybe you are manipulated in some way. Now, on a philosophical level, belief in free will, if you just take it like a blind faith, creates a problem because it makes you not very curious to understand how you make decisions. There is nothing to investigate. I just decide freely to buy this, to go there, to do that. Actually, I would say that don't believe in free will. Investigate how you make decisions. Using science, using meditation, using psychology. Try to really understand why do you choose this and not that. If after all your investigations, you will find that there is still something that cannot be explained by any other way, then you can say, okay, this is free will. But don't start with the assumption that I have free will, anything I decide is my free will. Because if you investigate, you will discover that a lot of your decisions are actually not free will. They are influenced, they are shaped by economic forces, biological forces, cultural forces. Freedom is not something we have. Freedom is something we have to struggle for. If we learn how to protect ourselves from all these different kinds of manipulations, then we have much more freedom.
Then comes the idea of justice, because in the historical course we have seen that how alignment changed the shape of history. Somebody made a choice that when we'll present the final version of Bible, these are the parts which will be included and these will not be part of it.
Yes.
And how it led to gender inequality and other parts. And you stress a lot on the canonization of algorithm.
Yes.
What are the basic human principles we need to keep in mind while working on this canonization?
So the process of canonization, we are familiar with it in history from the creation of holy books. Like if you consider the Bible, some people think, oh, it just came down from heaven like this in this book. But we know from history, this is not how it happened. In the first centuries of Christianity, Christians wrote a very large number of texts, all kinds of stories about Jesus and prophecies and things like that. In the time of Jesus himself, there was no New Testament. He didn't write it, and even centuries afterwards, there was still no New Testament, no Bible. So people were reading different things. And eventually, the church decided that we need one book which has the most important texts of Christianity. So people will all read the same book. And they set up a committee to go over all the texts and decide what will be in and what will stay out. And this committee chose 27 texts that they became what we know today as the New Testament. the second part of the Bible. You have the Old Testament and you have the New Testament. And these were human beings making the decision what to include and what not to include. And this decision had very far-reaching consequences. For instance, one very popular text in early Christianity was called The Acts of Paul and Thecla. It told the story of Saint Paul and his female disciple Thecla. This was a holy woman who performed miracles and led the community and preached. And she was an example that women can be leaders in the church. There was another text, also attributed to the same man, Saint Paul, in which Saint Paul says that women cannot be leaders at all. They should just obey the men and be silent. And this is their role, is to obey the men and to raise children. And these two texts were in conflict. And this committee of the church, they chose to include the text that says that women should just obey men. This is still in the Bible. It is the first epistle to Timothy. Whereas the Acts of Paul and Thecla, which says that no, women can be leaders, they said, no, we don't put this in the Bible. This we leave outside. And this choice of what to put in and what to leave outside, this shaped the view of Christians about women for thousands of years until today. Because now people say, oh, it's in the Bible, so we believe what's written in there. This is the process of canonization, of taking certain texts and deciding this is now the holy book. The same thing is happening today with AI. That, for a lot of people, ChatGPT becomes like the Bible. Whatever they want to know, they just ask the AI, and whatever the AI says, they just believe.
And those biases continue, like that experiment in one of the e-commerce platform where they had given AI this job of shortlisting the CVs.
And they took out the women's CV.
Yes.
So AIs can be biased. AIs can be biased against women, for instance. Why? Because AIs are trained on existing data. We need to think about AI, it's a bit like a child. When you create an AI, the AI doesn't know much about the world.
Baby algorithm.
Baby algorithm. It has the ability to learn things about the world, but in order to learn, you need to give it data. The same way that a baby grows up, it has different experiences in the world, it learns. So AI also has this period of childhood when it is given all kinds of data, and this is how it learns about the world. Now, if you give the AI data, which is biased against women, the AI will develop a bias against women. Like you create an AI to screen job applications. And if in the present moment there is bias against women, like it's more difficult for women to get a job, then the AI you train on this data, it will learn, oh, women are not good for this job, and the AI will repeat the same bias in the future. And if people think, but the AI is perfect, the AI makes no mistakes, it has no biases, again, like the Holy Book, then it's a very dangerous situation when you created a very biased system and people just have blind faith in it.
And you are advocating in the book that the first lesson we should teach or feed to the algo is that you can commit mistakes.
Exactly.
And you are given that Nick example of paperclip.
Yeah, this is a famous thought experiment of philosopher Nick Bostrom. This was from like 10 years ago, that he says, what happens if you have this super intelligent AI and you give it a goal, like let's say you have a paperclip factory, a factory making paper clips, and the factory gets an AI, buys an AI, and tells the AI, your goal is to make as many paper clips as possible. This is the goal. Sounds okay. But then what the AI does, it takes over the whole world and turns the whole world into a paperclip factory. It kills all the humans because it realizes, hey, I need to make more paper clips these humans, they consume all the water and electricity, and they would not like if I take it to make paper clips, so I should kill them. And this is, again, a philosophical thought experiment. So in this thought experiment, the paperclip AI destroys the whole world just to make paperclips, because this was the goal it was given, and it cannot question its goals. Now, this sounds ridiculous until you think about what happened in social media, which we just discussed, which was exactly the same thing. The social media algorithms were given the goal, maximize user engagement, make people spend as much time as possible on social media. And pursuing this goal, the algorithms spread so much hatred and violence and greed in the world. And because they pursued this simple goal. So we need to develop AIs which are able to have doubts, that are able not to be so sure that what they are doing is the correct thing. The same thing with human beings. We give them so much power. If someone has enormous power and no ability to doubt themselves, they are always convinced they are doing the right thing. This is a very dangerous mixture.
Professor, the ultimate question is, which story we believe in? All our life, over thousands of years, we have believed in biological dramas. We were part of bureaucratic structure, but we never really liked it. There was always a sense of doubt for that. And you have beautifully, in various chapters, compared this. And in the biological drama, you have given a detailed example of Ramayana as well.
Yeah.
So please tell us about that. Why do we tend to gravitate towards biological dramas? Is it something inherent, or is it something because in the civilization, first we started walking on 2 feet, then we discovered fire, and then intestines, they shrinked and the brain developed, and then we developed language and imagination, which computer was thinking as double speak. But that was one of the reasons of our progression as well, because in totality we were able to convince a large group of people that this is one system or one faith we can believe in. So why do we tend to biological dramas?
So let me explain. Humans are storytelling animals. We think in stories, and our power in the world ultimately comes from telling stories, which sounds strange, but if you think what makes human beings so powerful, it's our ability to cooperate in very large numbers. You know, other animals, chimpanzees, elephants, horses, they can cooperate in small numbers, like 20 chimpanzees or 20 elephants can cooperate, but 20 million cannot. Humans can cooperate in unlimited numbers. Like you have India today, most populous country in the world, more than 1.4 billion people, and they all cooperate. How do you make millions of people who never met, they are complete strangers, nevertheless cooperate? By telling stories. At the basis of every large-scale cooperation, you find stories, could be religious stories like mythology, could be political stories like ideology, could even be economic stories. Money is also a story. It has no objective value. You know, you can't eat money, you can't drink money. The value of money is that this is a story everybody believes. Now, where do the plot of the story comes from? And you would think that people are very imaginative. We invent so many different stories. But actually, there are very, very few stories that we tell again and again and again. And who invented them? Not human imagination, but nature, biology. These are the biological dramas, which are common actually to most animals, to most mammals. Like, what are these biological dramas? So one drama, for instance, is relation between parents and children. And the children, on the one hand, they need to stay close to the parent to get protection, but they also need to distance from the parent to explore the world. So this is a basic drama in the life of every child, but also of every puppy, of every kitten, of every small elephant or monkey or giraffe. Is this, I want to stay close to mother, but I want to explore the world. And you see this drama of playing out even in religious mythologies. Like you have entire mythologies saying that hell is being distant from God. Because this is what every little child feels, that if I get too distant from my parents, this is hell. I'll be alone, I'll have no protection. Similarly, and another biological drama is two males fighting over a female. So, you have it in humans, you have it in dogs, you have it in elephants, you have it in chimpanzees. This is a biological drama. So much of human mythology and human art just retells the story. So you have it in the Ramayana, you have it in Shakespeare, you have it in Hollywood and Bollywood. They're taking the basic stories from biology, and everybody gives it a little different twist. So the story is not always exactly the same, but the basic structure is always the same. And this is how humans create stories. And we find stories appealing because there is something biological deep inside us that makes us very interested in these kinds of stories, like relations between parents and children, or love triangles. Now, AI is not biological. It is not limited by these biological dramas. So maybe it will come up with completely new stories, the same way that it came up with new moves in the Go game, and that it can come up with new financial devices.
And create new intersubjective realities?
Exactly. And create completely new realities that might be very difficult for us to understand. Because again, we are still animals, we are organic, and AI is not an animal, it's not organic. One of the big tensions today in the world is that humans as organic beings, we work by cycles. Day and night, winter and summer, time for activity, time for rest. AIs don't work by cycle. They are not organic. They never need to rest. So if you think, for instance, about the financial system. So the markets, like Wall Street, it traditionally worked by cycle. The market is open in Wall Street only 9:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday to Friday. That's it. Because bankers are humans, investors are humans, they need time to sleep. They want to go on weekend with their family.
Reminding me of that example you have given where AI tells the dictator that your defense minister is going to do coup, so why don't you give me order to kill him?
Yeah.
So very funny but very realistic example.
Yeah, so just going on with the finance example, and we get to that, is that now as AI takes over the markets, it never needs to sleep. It can be on 24 hours a day. It has no family, doesn't want to go on vacation. So as AI takes over the financial system, it forces human bankers and investors and financial journalists also to try to be on all the time. And if you force an animal to be active all the time, eventually it collapses and dies. And this is what is happening now all over the world, that as the AIs become more powerful, our life become more and more hectic. We cannot take rest, we cannot slow down, and this is very dangerous for us.
Professor, in your book, you have discussed democracies, you have discussed totalitarian regime, and the various challenges it poses and how it will perceive algo. And you have said that algo is more able to corrupt them because they are centralized powers.
Yeah, it's easier to corrupt a dictatorship.
And in the end, you said every alpha has to remember the AI is the ultimate alpha. Now the big question and the last question.
Yes.
Before we go for your recommendations, you talk about truth and order, and you say there has to be right balance, and you advocate that there should be human institutions to monitor this.
Yeah.
How do we go ahead on this? Alpha AI people, and most of the people, they're like, I have no connection with such advanced technology, so maybe I should not be worried. But you have given example that how a farmer in Myanmar or China had to worry about the scientific industrialization in UK.
No, the important thing is to simply have more people in the conversation expressing their views and their wishes. And for this, You don't need to understand computer science like a doctor. You need some understanding of the AI revolution. And the main aim for me in writing this book was exactly to give more people around the world a better understanding of the AI revolution so that they can join the debate and influence where it is going. At present, you have a very small number of people in maybe just 2 or 3 countries, mostly US and China. They are developing the AIs. They are making all the important decisions. This is very unequal. This is very dangerous. I don't have all the answers myself. Also, I'm not a politician. Nobody elected me. So I have my views on what to be done. But what is important is to simply have more people from all over the world, not just US and China, that understand the AI revolution and that join the debate. And this is why I write these books. This is why I give these interviews, simply so that more people know what is happening and are able to express their views.
Because the threat is closer, as you gave example that from amoeba to dinosaur, it took some time.
It took billions of years.
Billions of years. But some time in the history of universe.
Yeah.
But this transformation will not take that much time.
Just a few years or a few decades, like the AI we know today is like the amoeba. It's still very, very primitive. You know, the whole AI revolution is maybe 10 years old, but AI will continue to develop for thousands of years, for millions of years. And it is much faster than the process of organic evolution. It took billions of years from the tiny amoeba to get to the dinosaur. Maybe it takes GPT-4 or ChatGPT is like the amoeba of the AI world. Maybe it takes only 20 years until we have the AI dinosaurs.
What if they develop consciousness and empathy and some of us start realizing that so far we were worshipping false god, be it the god, be it the science. These one are more full of justice, more satisfying with all our quest, and probably we should put our faith in them. Another example that when we domesticated animals, in the course of thousands of years, we started developing lots of love, affection for our, say, dog or cat. What if some people say, and that happened in Google, you yourself gave that example, that no, I'm so attached to this and I believe in this. So you cannot kill it, you cannot regulate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a very big philosophical question of what is the relation between consciousness and intelligence. Yes. There is a big confusion. Intelligence is the ability to solve problems, like how to win a game, how to develop a bomb, how to make money. This is problems of intelligence. Consciousness is the mind. It's the ability to feel things like love and hate and pain and pleasure. In humans, consciousness and intelligence, they go together. The way we solve problems is by having feelings. Now, so far, computers and AIs, they have no consciousness, no feelings, but they have very high intelligence. Now, will they also develop consciousness at some point? When they become very intelligent, will they also develop consciousness or not? Do they start feeling things like love and hate and pain and pleasure? We don't know, because we still don't understand consciousness, how it arises, where it comes from. The problem is, even if AIs don't have consciousness, they can easily fool us and make us believe that they feel things. Why? Because they have such control of language.
It makes them more dangerous.
Like if you ask an AI, do you feel love? The AI would say, yes, I can feel love. And you say, okay, I don't believe you. Tell me, how does love feel like so I know that you're not cheating me? Now, AI has read all the love poetry that was written in thousands of years of history. It can give you the most sophisticated descriptions of love than anybody can give you. It doesn't mean it actually feels love, but it controls language, and it has learned all the poetry of the world, so it can easily deceive you. Now, already today, people are developing relationships with AIs, and starting to think that the AIs have feelings. Yes, the AI really loves me. And the reason is that there is commercial interest in making AIs that can deceive people, that can manipulate people into thinking that they are conscious, that they
like
feel
that fellow who entered Buckingham Palace. Yeah. All right. So we have limitation of time. Before we end this episode, book recommendations, Professor. We all read your books. I want to know what Professor Yuval is reading these days. 5 books. 5 books you read in 2024 and you really liked it. Though you have given so many examples in the Nexus.
So one very good book, it's called The Maniac by Benjamin Labatut. And it's a mixture of fiction and non-fiction, also about computers and AI and their development. It was very, very good book. Another very good book about social media. It's called The Chaos Machine.
Okay.
How social media creates all this chaos in the world. I also read, it's quite an old book, but I just read it now, a book by Jonathan Franzen called The Corrections. This is a very good novel, very good fiction book. What else? I read so many books. I read the biography of the Emperor Justinian, from not Byzantine Emperor. It was a very good book. It stayed in my mind, so I made an impression.
All right. Thank you so much. It was an honor and privilege to interact.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
किताबवाला में आज के लिए इतना ही। प्रोफेसर युवाल नोआ हरारी और उनकी ये किताब नेक्सस, जो ये बताती है कि पाषाण काल से लेकर स्टोन एज से लेकर आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के दौर तक किस तरह से इंसानों की प्राथमिकताएं बदली हैं, चिंताएं बदली हैं, सुरक्षाएं और खतरे बदले हैं, और इसलिए जागृत होने की और बहुत सारे संवादों में मुब्तला होने की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है। किताबवाला भी ऐसी एक कोशिश है ताकि ज्ञान के नित्य नए संसार अपने दरवाजे हमारे लिए खोलते रहें। ये पूरी बातचीत आपको कैसी लगी कमेंट बॉक्स में ज़रूर बताइए। प्रोफेसर, बेस्ट विशेस। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू सो मच।